Astrology. Okay. What we talking about? What we talking about this week? We talking about new moon in Libra. We talking about Mars and Sun in Libra. We talking about Mercury retrograde. We talking about Pluto and Saturn retrograde ending. And we are going to talk about, of course, the reading. And I'm going to tell you what houses your signs are in when I do this reading. Because guess what, y'all? I started a question box. And I got 2 questions, comments, or whatever you want to call them. But one of them is a question. And the question is, how can the same sign act so different? And the second question I have is about retrogrades and houses. And I have a previous question that I haven't got a chance to really touch a lot on about shadow work. So let me tell y'all what I'm going to do. So for the person who asks, how can the same sign act so different? We're going to talk about that during the reading. And that's where, yes, during the reading, when we get into, the zodiac signs. And that's also where I'll touch bases on retrograde and houses, because I did take down the houses that each sign is in. Currently, make sure that I made a note of that for the reading. And when we talk about shadow work, I'm going to talk about it when I talk about Saturn and Pluto going direct. So that's where I will answer those questions. As a matter of fact, let me write it so I don't forget. Shadow work. Touch on that a little bit. Okay. So let's get right into it. And of course, we're going to start with new moon in Libra, because new moon is all about fresh starts, new beginnings, and starting over. Okay, so new moon in Libra, the sign of, balance and discipline and harmony and partnerships. And it's an air sign, so it has a lot to do with the mind and how we talk to others. So this retrograde is also in Libra. Mercury retrograde and the Mars and Sun have linked up in Libra as well. So we got some stuff going on. So let's get right into it. So, new moon in Libra. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's definitely the theme for this moon, because a lot of our themes have pretty much been based on us just getting into ourselves, figuring out what we want, especially during retrograde season, having to reflect and go back on the things that we have learned, the things that we have taught, the things that we have picked up along the way, the people that we have attached ourselves to. Everything has been under the microscope during this retrograde season. We just looking at the way that we interact with others, and we haven't been making it so much about other people. Well, we're not supposed to be. We're supposed to be making it about us. Like, why is that bothering me? Why does that affect me? Why am I allowing this person's behavior to, change my emotional behavior or the way I respond to things? Just really looking at what triggers us, and why are we respond to certain things the way we do, and why we want to manifest the thing that we are trying to manifest. We're looking at our goals. We're looking at our dreams. And retrograde season has just been having us look at everything at once, and it can make you turned up because you get revelations about what you should be doing. Some of us are finding our way and we're getting excited about it, so it's turning you all the way up, but then it's taking you all the way down, because the level of trauma, the inner depth that you have to reach into to really find that answer, to find where you're really at, can be triggering, and it can be hurtful sometimes, especially if you have some past childhood trauma that you need to heal from or deal with. So this new moon in Libra is all about teamwork making the dream work. Okay. Partnerships and harmony. You need to learn even from your enemies in this time. Okay. Libras on the bad side sometimes have a reputation for being double-sided. Not like how Geminis have 2 personalities. They literally have 2 people living in their head. Even though they might be in one body, they're definitely a 2-headed person. But Libras, have a knack for putting on a face in one place, and then being able to turn it on. And I don't really want to call it two-faced, because it's not always a bad thing. They just pick and choose who to reveal their true selves to all the time. So I don't want to say it's fake, but it might be just a little bit like they the type to just be in a room with somebody they don't like, you know, agreeing with the situation and what's going on, but then get home and be like, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him. But it's just because they're trying to hold their composure and not be the one to disturb the environment. And unevolved Libras have a habit to allow that, to make them uncomfortable, allow them to be uncomfortable in their environment just for the sake of diplomacy, okay? Libras have a tendency to do that. So that's not something we want to run towards right now. That's something that we're trying to pull away from during retrograde season. So this new moon in Libra is all about just manifesting the right partnerships, and figure out why, if someone's irritating your spirit, taking that head on with yourself, using that as a way to shatter yourself. Like, why is that bothering me? Why is it bothering me? And, you know, get into the root of that so you can heal and become the light, okay? So the thing that's going to help us get through this new moon in Libra and kind of help us focus and ground ourselves, because the energy is so clouded right now and amplified with this Mars and Sun placement in Libra, okay? Everything is amplified. Everything is on 10, okay? It also Ceres. It's an asteroid, I believe. It is in retrograde as well. And this is all about manifesting from within, okay? That retrograde is all about manifesting from within. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in focus through this energy, through the next few days while we're trying to press past all of this heavy energy. We're going to get some relief when Saturn and Pluto go direct, away from all this healing work that's making us so tired. Because some of these relationships and some of these things that we have to deal with, we have not been able to break away from yet, because there's some type of attachment or some type of tie to the situation that's making it harder for us to really pull away from it like we want to. So some of us are just in a place where we can only check out mentally. We can't physically get away from the situation. So it has our energy up and down. We're healing in one aspect, but we're suffering in another. And that's just a part of growth. That's a part of transition. That's a part of the cocoon experience when you're becoming a butterfly. It's a struggle, okay? But we're going to get through it. So as far as new moon goes, just remember we are manifesting from within. Forget what's going on the outside or the outward reality. Our manifestations often are based on our outward reality, right? We want to manifest money so we can pay for the things that we need and build a better reality that we're living in. We want to manifest love because we want partnership. We want constant partnership. We want our help. Some of us have twin flame contracts. Some of us have soulmates that we are searching and looking for. So we try to manifest them. Some of us are still looking for our tribe that we, connect with. And some of us have found a tribe to connect with, but we are having a hard time breaking into what your purpose is inside of the tribe. You understand what I'm saying? That you feel like you found a group of people to connect with, but what's my purpose? You're still searching for purpose. You know what I mean? So we are trying to manifest from within. That's what all of this work throughout the year has been about, within. Even when we're doing shadow work, it's all about going within so you can change your outward reality without barely having to lift a finger. You just begin to attract, okay? You do the work in-house and then let everything else be attracted into you, okay? So if you've been taking time to do your shadow work, then everything that you are trying to manifest is going to come to you, okay? Come to you. Have you been doing the work? Have you been doing the work to really receive the things you have been asking for? Have you prepared a place for these blessings that you are asking for? If you're a blessing, you feel like it's for you to be in another place, have you already started acting in a mindset of that is where you are at, okay? So lots of meditation with any of these places. It's going to take some meditation. You're going to have to get grounded. You are going to have to shut off the devices. You're going to have to shut the world out. You're going to have to get into a quiet place And, you know, whatever that quiet place is, whatever that space is where nothing is shut on, everything is shut off, and you can just really dig deep. Now, while we're talking about meditation, I'm going to go ahead and transition us into this Sun and Mars link up in Libra, okay? And that is going to have focus on your solar plexus, Mars, okay? Being highlighted. So if you're having some stomach problems or you having the jitters, anxiety, nervousness, you know what I'm saying, meditate on the solar plexus. And if you do not know what the solar plexus is, it's about your chakras. And if you have not had a chance to study your chakras to get yourself in alignment, then take time to do so. And you can start with the solar plexus if you are starting under this new moon, okay, and under this Mars and Sun link up in Libra. Everything is amplified. You know, let's just say that, first of all. That's why everybody on my timeline who is in tune with retrogrades and, you know, lunar placements and stuff like that, they is like going through it like, oh my God, this retrograde is like tearing people up. Well, that's because it's amplified. It's amplified by 10, 20, 30 with this Mars and Sun placement, because Mars is the planet of, you know, our anger, passion, the divine masculine, everything just strong and straightforward, okay? And so you may be a little bit irritated, so just try not to stress over every little thing. Try to cut down on the complaining, and, you know, just don't be getting into it and going through it over nothing. Take the time to figure out what it is that you're getting upset about. Is it really worth the energy that you are about to use for anger, okay? Because we're going through these emotions of being all the way turned, from all the way tired to all the way turned, and somewhere in between, right? So there can be some clashes, of course. Mars is a planet of war, okay? So there can be some clashes. So just channel this energy, this extra energy that you have into whatever creativity or whatever passion it is that you have dealing with this energy. Secret fears are being highlighted. Mars also planet of ego, and Sun being the planet of ego, and Mars being highlighted right now. Secret fears are ego are being shown. And what secret fears are the things that you don't talk about, that you're really afraid of happening. And most of the time they have something to do with time, okay? Right? Am I right? Oh, I'm going to run out of time. I'm not going to be able to do this. Am I going to have time to do that? Am I going to live to see my children do this? All of these are fears related to time, and they're kind of being highlighted under this placement, which can make you irritable as well, because you start looking at everywhere that you are not, you feel like every area, you start looking at all the areas that you feel like you're not strong in, right? And that has a lot to do with our divine masculine side. We all have a divine feminine, we all have a divine masculine. And you know, when you start looking at where you are in life, kind of, and what you haven't done and your accomplishments and stuff, that has a lot to do with your Mars, okay? And having a focus around time and making sure that we are not having identity crisis with this Sun and Mars link up. But the good news is Venus, our counterparts, our divine feminine, is in Sagittarius. So it's making us adventurous and optimistic when it comes to pursuing the things of love and beauty. So take all that Mars and Sun energy and try to channel it into finding what it is that you're really passionate about. And if you know what you're passionate about, channeling your emotions and all the irritability that you're feeling into that thing. And if you don't have one, start journaling until you find one, okay? Because sometimes you might find it might be writing. So I just suggest that you just start writing stuff down and writing and getting into journaling and getting more in tune with you is a way to, you know, see yourself. Journaling is a way to really see yourself, okay? And you will be able to find what it is that your purpose and what you're supposed to be pursuing right there. So, let's talk about Mercury's retrograde, okay? Mercury retrograde comes around every 3 months. So, these retrogrades for this year, this is the last one for this year, happens to all be in the air signs, starting with Aquarius on to Gemini. and in Libra. So, you know, let's not forget about all of the things that we have going on in Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius, if you have forgotten. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when we get to Saturn. Please remember that we're talking about a whole age. Okay, we're not just talking about a monthly placement, a week here, a week two. We're talking about a whole age of the Aquarius. Okay, so Mercury retrograde in Libra. Okay, the past is surely being stirred up, and like I said, this retrograde is on 100 right now because of this Mars and Sun amplifying the energy, okay, in Libra anyway, where the Mercury retrograde also is, because all of the Mercury retrogrades, they're 3 year, they have all been in air signs, Aquarius, then Gemini, on to Libra. Okay, so the past is being stirred up. It's being stirred up because it's time to tie up some loose ends. Okay, incomplete projects, conversations that need to be had, re-evaluating, because the main prefix that you want to think about when you're in these retrogrades and you're dealing with this energy is okay? Things you might need to re-evaluate, revisit, renew, refresh, you know, because that's what it's about. The planet is turning back, so the energy is turning back, so it's turning back the hand of time, so you can go back and deal with whatever it is that you didn't get a chance to deal with, either because you weren't in a place where you were ready to deal with that because of age, or because of mindset, or whatever the case may be. Maybe something from your childhood was coming back because you were a child and you couldn't deal with it the way you needed to actually be healed in that area of your life. Maybe if you weren't in the right mindset, you didn't know what to do. Okay, it's okay to say that I didn't know what to do. I was stupid at the time. I was ignorant to what I was supposed to be doing at the time, but I know better now. And this is where you take this retrograde and you fix it. Okay, it's time to clean up house. The Mercury retrograde is your opportunity to break away from anything that keeps coming around or anyone. Pay attention to what keeps happening during these retrogrades. There's a pattern there for a reason. It's trying to teach you something, okay? And remember, Mercury is the planet that rules over communication, okay? Communication. So it might be the way that you express yourself that might be under the microscope, but it's in Libra, so it's how you express yourself to others. With us being in Libra, just know that there is someone on the other side of what it is that you are, where you're supposed to be at right now, whatever it is that you're supposed to be manifesting, whatever it is that you're supposed to be working on. This retrograde in Libra is showing us that there is someone on the other side of that that's going to help you get to the other side of that. Okay, whatever it is that's making you uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying, that conversation that you keep not having because you know, like, well, I'm just going to cut this person off, and then this person pops back up into your life unexpectedly and you still haven't had that conversation. Those are things that we need to deal with as well. It's time to have the talk, whatever the talk may be. I'm not saying it's something negative. It might be something where you might be the one who needs to apologize. You might be the person who needs to go ahead and make amends and tie up whatever loose end that it is. You might be the person who needs to give the closure and not get the closure. But whatever end it is that you are on, it's time to go ahead and do it, so we don't have to keep doubling back over these problems and feeling like we're stuck. You know, when you get to feeling like you're stuck or you're blocked, you are. If you feel like you're stuck or blocked, I'm telling you right now, you are. And even if it's not showing on the outward, maybe you're stuck somewhere in here that's blocking your confidence from knowing that you're not really stuck. You're not really blocked. You're not really having issues. You are just those secret fears that we were talking about that normally have based themselves in time or comparison. Maybe you fell into a comparison trap. Maybe you fallen into the time trap, or whatever it is that you're dealing with, okay? You know, you don't want to keep getting stuck in that area. So you want to take this time during retrograde and all the distractions that's going around with technology and, you know, things glitching, conversations, getting your wires crossed with people, getting into it with people and things like that. It's just coming to show you where you need to work on yourself, and that you have the ability to push past distractions. Okay, So for Mercury retrograde, you know, it's all the same thing. Make sure you're giving yourself enough time. Make sure you reevaluate your routine. Make sure that you are just kind of going with the flow. Make sure that you have a backup plan for your backup plan. Okay, so while we're talking about retrogrades, the one that I really wanted to talk about, because you know we should be getting used to Mercury retrograde at this point. Okay. We should be getting used to Mercury retrograde at this point, messing up our phones and computers and tablets and traffic delays and accidents and all that type of stuff everywhere, not being able to get to point A to point B without there being any issues, you know, the tire, the up and down, and you know, just not connecting with people, the disconnect between us and other people. You're going to have to get through this because there's a reason why it happens. And it happens at this time for you to purge. At this time, evaluate where your chakras are. So, and all those type of things, okay? Because this is a 3-month period. So these is ways that you can set goals. Now, like I told you, you can set your small goals based on the moons, the new moon, full moon, setting goals that way. You could throw that retrograde in there because you know it's going to come around every 3 months to help you set long-term goals as well. Okay, so while we are talking about retrogrades, let's get into this Saturn retrograde, okay? Saturn retrograde, I think started back in May. We'll have to go back through the videos, the archives, and figure it out. Y'all know I don't be holding on to dates and stuff like that because we got to keep this thing moving. But I believe it started back in May. Okay. And basically, Saturn is in Aquarius right now. And I don't know if you're at the beginning of the year, end of 2020, we went into the age of Aquarius. Okay. This is the age of Aquarius. So, you know, get into it. All right. And Saturn, and I believe, Jupiter was the grand conjunction where these planets meets up and things just start changing. Okay, so we already started going through change in 2020 because all of the alignment of the planets and stuff that was going on, and just the outbreak, and you know, just really propelling us forward into the age of Aquarius with everything that happened with the pandemic. It was a worldwide thing. Okay, so you know, so all these failed systems, all these crime rings and stuff being exposed has everything to do with Saturn being in Aquarius right now. So when it went retrograde, it basically what we had already, where we had already started, when it started going in retrograde, we're left to our own devices to see what we gonna do with it, basically, okay? Saturn, when it's direct, it's the planet that showed us where we need to tighten up, okay? Saturn shows us where we need to tighten up. And in Aquarius, the age that we are in now, where all these changes are happening, a new world is emerging. There's a craving for higher knowledge. Aquarius, also an air sign like Libra, you know, is all based in the mind and intelligence. And Aquariuses have a reputation for being the aliens of the zodiac, always thinking on a higher level, on a space age level. You know what I'm saying? Not really from this planet. Thinking outside of the human box, the higher mind, and seeking higher knowledge. And that's where we all are on a collective. So many people seeking higher knowledge, so many people denouncing failed systems that have abused people and oppressed people. So much of that going on, and it's because we are in the age of Aquarius, and Saturn being in Aquarius makes us get tight. Karma, rules, regulation, discipline is what Saturn is all about. But when it's retrograde, we have to do all those things on our own. So we were left to our own devices to make up our own rules, especially in rebellious Aquarius, where you kind of just do what works for you. Aquarius are really individualists as a sign. They kind of do their own thing, and based on their other placements, we don't know what that own thing might be. But, you know, they're just known for being very independent in their thinking, marching to the beat of their own drum. So Saturn being in Aquarius, with this, when it went retrograde, we were left to our own terms to make our own rules. People are denouncing systems and, you know, practices and stuff that's just not working for them no more. People aren't doing things just because somebody else told them to do them anymore. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot of changes and things taking place. Okay? So just know if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything, because now Saturn is getting ready to go direct. You have to hold yourself accountable to that thing that you chose to commit to during this retrograde, during this time. Like, you know what? This is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to follow. This is what practice that I'm going to take on. I'm not doing this no more. I'm not doing that no more. Okay, so now it's time for us to face the music of what it is that we said we were going to commit to. Okay, so like I said, you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And whatever it is that you choose to stand on, Saturn is the planet that's going to make sure you stay on track with that. Okay, so also, just a little tidbit that I wrote in there, because I need you to understand like what's going on with Saturn anyway in Aquarius. You know, all the systems are failing. Crime is being exposed. Aquarius is the sign of humanitarianism and being open-minded and things like that. So even though it's fixed, Aquarius is fixed, so it's stubborn. So once Aquarius know that they right, they're gonna stand on that until they die. Okay, until they die. And that's where a lot of people are like, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna stand on it till I die. Okay, so a lot of that means a lot of people in power, there's going to be a power shift, because now those who are oppressed are taking their power back because they're getting an opportunity to walk in their truth. Okay, so anything is possible. Lilith, ladies. Lilith is also in retrograde, ladies, okay? And I say that for the ladies because Lilith is kind of like the shadow karma feminine, the toxic female. That's what I always call her. Lilith is always the toxic female for us, okay? So with Saturn being over the collective karma, okay, this could mean a lot of things for the ladies, letting go of your old self. As tempting as it may be to go back to some people or some ways that you know you were comfortable with before, something in you, your higher self, is not comfortable with that now. So this is something else that you're going to be dealing with, especially for the ladies, when Saturn goes direct this week, that, you know, just some of your old ways just not working for you no more. And that's what we deal with the Lilith retrograde, well, especially being highlighted with this Saturn in Aquarius. Okay, so Saturn is going direct. So Saturn is the planet of karma, rules and regulations, and discipline. So whatever little rules that you made up while Saturn had his back turn and retrograde, get ready to stand on them, because we have more changes on the way. It's a whole new world. But Saturn is not the only planet that goes direct in this parade of retrogrades. Pluto also is going direct, okay? And Pluto retrograde took place in Capricorn, and it had a lot to do with our childhood, okay? So we had to do a self-detox and confront our shadows, because this is what I'm talking about with retrogrades, that sometimes when things happen, you are not equipped to deal with them. So retrogrades is the universe's way of giving you an opportunity to go back and fix what might have, you know, messed up, or, you know, happened to you, or traumatized you, or hurt you, or that you weren't equipped to deal with at the time. Retrogrades are the universe's way to make sure that you can go back and take care of that, okay? So you can continue on your ascension to a higher self, a higher state, the next realm, or whatever it is that you are transitioning towards, okay? So the Pluto retrograde, self-detox, confronting our shadows, repressed fears and issues, which are usually born out of our inner child, okay? So if you've been working on your inner healing, there will be some relief, okay? The weight is going to be lifted. This Pluto retrograde was kind of heavy, and it was heavier for some, especially those who have childhood trauma that they have, you know, carried on into their adult life, that's kind of set and festered, and you allow things to happen around you. So if you have not took the opportunity during this Pluto retrograde to shift by exposing yourself and coming face to face with your fears, is going to come back down the line. You understand what I'm saying? So we want to let those things go, because you don't want to be in a good place in your life and something just come back and slap you in the face. Don't you hate that? Oh, don't you hate that? When you be thinking like, man, I should have just dealt with that a long time ago. I should have said this a long time ago. I should have cut you off a long time ago. I should have stopped doing that a long time ago, because now it's right back to bite you, okay? So during this Pluto retrograde, you should have took the time to kind of face your fears, especially if it was from childhood trauma, and took this as an opportunity to shift. Okay, an opportunity to shift. You're going to miss your opportunity to shift if you don't go ahead and deal with those things that are, you know, eating away at you. Things and because you're trying to be non-confrontational, okay? Or because you just want to put it out of your mind. You don't want to deal with the hurt. You don't want to deal with the trauma, but it's going to keep coming back. And then when we let those type of seeds fester, they show up and they grow in our lives. So we don't want that. So... and that's why we oftentimes skip past shadow work. So for the person who asked me about shadow work earlier on, I believe a couple weeks ago, shadow work. We often skip past shadow work and spiritual work that requires discipline and purging, and we just go straight to self-medicating or unhealthily pacifying our habits. And what all of that means is basically we skip the shit where we have to practice self-control. And we just go straight to self-medicating, right? That's not what shadow work is about. Shadow work is being able to set aside the thing that you've been using to comfort you, your security blanket, or your bad habit, the habit that you've been using to cover up your hurts, aside, and really sitting with whatever that emotional work is, that inner work is, mental, spiritual, you know, nothing to really do with what's on the outside, but everything to do with the healing of your soul and your spirit. Shadow work makes you face those dark parts of yourself, whether there's a darkness on the inside of you that you have not, you know, exposed to the light, or it's a darkness that happened to you that you have not yet exposed to the light, but you have to expose it to the light, even if it continues to remain dark. Okay, even if it remembers to remain a dark spot in your life, you know what I'm saying? You have to learn to integrate that into your daily practice. Channel all that negativity into something positive into your life, into some form of creativity, into some form of art, some type of passion, some type of work, hustle, anything that you can do, okay? And that is what shadow work is, when we take anything negative that has been placed upon us and we siphon it and shift it into something that we can use, okay? Something that we can use. So when you're doing shadow work, one of the main things that is very important to shadow work is being able to journal. And you don't have to journal. You can make a video. It depends on what type of learner you are. This is where we get into the human aspects of ourself, our learning, our mind, our brain, you know what I'm saying, and how our systems work together with everything that's on the inside of us. When you get into shadow work, you use what works for you. I use writing because I'm a writer, and I can write letters to myself. I can write letters to the people that I'm mad at, and it's a good way for me to channel that energy into something else, and I'll burn it, get rid of it, whatever I need to do. If you have to make a video for yourself to watch later on down the line, like, hey, this is what happened to me, or this is where I'm at, and this is how I'm feeling, and I don't, you know what I'm saying? Just having a real conversation with yourself, saying the things that you have not exposed already, so you can really deal with those things. That's what shadow work is about. And when doing shadow work, the main thing that I focus on is just being honest, because I know if I don't be honest, then if I hide something, if I hold something back, then it's going to come back, okay? And if I'm really ready to deal with this thing, if I'm really ready to let something go, then honesty is the best policy. It's just finding a way of release that really works for you, and making sure that you're using the lunar calendar when you are supposed to release things, which is usually under the full moon, okay? Usually under the full moon, and then after the full moon is when we start the shadow work and begin to banish those things that are not of use to us, okay? So did I touch everything? Did I touch everything? Now let's get to the reading portion, okay? It's so funny that somebody dropped retrograde in houses in the comment box, because you know I only do houses ever so often. And well, we were already talking about retrogrades a little bit today, but please remember that there are other planets still in retrograde, but I just touched on the ones that's going direct, and I touched on Mercury. But for houses, I definitely wrote down what house each sign is in for this reading, because I feel like it'll help us deal with a certain area and really help make the cards more clearer to us. So y'all got my little deck out, and I'm gonna flip the camera around. Connect with my deck real quick. I've shuffled it pretty good. I think it's safe to kind of cut now. Let's cut this. Let's cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it, and get right into it. So let's start with Aries. Aries, currently in the 6th house, ruled by Virgo. And the 6th house is all about self-care, health, and the people, I guess you could say, we can find stored in the 6th house is pets. So whether you like pets or not, or what type of pets you would have, you will find based on your 6th house placements. All right. And I pull Temperance. Temperance, Aries, okay? Moderation, balance between your action and your emotion, and the balance between conscious and subconscious, okay? Temperance, Aries. Temperance is the card that I pour for you, okay? Taurus, which is in the 7th house, ruled by Libra, and it is Libra season, and that is the house of relationships, marriages, and business partnerships, okay? Marriages, spouses, and business partners, we find them in the 7th house, what type of partner you may have or be attracted to based on your 7th house placements, okay? But right now, Taurus, your sign is currently in the 7th house, okay? So, and I pull the Ace of Swords. So, personal victory, inner strength, clarity, okay? Personal victory, inner strength, and clarity. All right. So how do you tie all those things together? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're showing me the car and you're telling me the house. So how am I tying those things together? So for example, Aries had Temperance in and it is currently in the house of self-care and moderation. That is your self-care, moderation, finding balance. That is what your self-care should be right now, okay? Anything that we indulge in can cause harm to us if we don't find balance, okay? That's how we read it. Or just like how Taurus right now is in the 7th house of, partnerships and relationships or business partnerships. Inner strength and clarity. So maybe you might be searching for clarity, Taurus, on the relationships and business partnerships that you should be leaning towards, especially right now in Libra season, where all of our connections are under review, okay? Especially with the retrograde happening in Libra. And it is the Ace of Swords, so it is the beginning of an idea, okay? So, business partnerships, Taurus. That's how I read that. Next we have Gemini, which is in the 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, and it is all about mergers. So sex, intimacy, joint ventures, joint partnerships, much different from the 7th house. This is how we connect and deal with those things. It's more about connection than the actual it's more about a emotional connection and how we do things, okay, and not necessarily what we're doing. When you think about the 7th house, you think about what we're doing, and when you think about the 8th house, you think about how we doing it, okay? So right now, Gemini is in the 8th house, and this is the card I pull for Gemini, okay? Gemini, the 9 of Pentacles, and it is the card of material security. So we're talking about joint ventures, and also like joint accounts, how you deal with your partners and your resources, okay? Resources, how you deal with your partner and your resources, that is also in the 8th house. So this is what we are thinking about right now. Our material security and how it relates to others, Gemini, especially with your planet ruler being in retrograde. How are you with others and your resources? Okay. Next, we have Cancer, which is in the 9th house, ruled by Sagittarius. And it's all about travel and education, okay, as well as other things, but mainly travel and education, all those things that Sagittarius is about. And for you, Cancer, I pulled the Two of Swords. Clouded, confusion, okay, finding inspiration. And down here, I made a little note that this is the planet Neptune that is lit on this card right here. And Neptune is also in retrograde. So while we tie together houses in retrograde, Cancer is currently housed in Sagittarius. So Jupiter is in retrograde, okay, which rules over Sagittarius. And with the Jupiter retrograde, we are thinking a lot about how we handle our resources, our luck, what we are able to do, how far that we want to go. And Cancer, clouded, confusion, and being able to find inspiration, being able to tap into that Sagittarius spirit while you are in the 9th house right now to kind of press forward with, you know, maybe getting into higher learning or possibly traveling and taking a trip so you can see outside the box, okay? Leo is currently in the 10th house of, which is ruled by Capricorn, which currently has Pluto retrograding. And Capricorn ruler is also Saturn, which is also retrograding. And both of them get to go direct. So Leo, this is all about public image, okay? Being in the 10th house, okay? And I pulled the Queen of Wands, Leo. I pull the Queen of Wands, and it's all about rising up and taking your rightful place in the light, okay? In the light. It's all about raising up awareness. And as a fire sign, this card, Wands, it has everything to do with fire signs, and it is the Queen of Wands, okay, Leo? So it's time to rise up with all these changes that you have made, all these things that you have switched around in your routine. And, you know, with Pluto going direct, which is the ruler of Capricorn, the house that you are in right now, it's your opportunity. It's your opportunity to take all of that inner work and inner healing and relationship changes. Leo has had a lot of relationship changes throughout the year that you have had, and using them to enhance your public image, okay? Everything that you learn. And in the 10th house is also where we find the men in our life, okay? And also where we find teachers and mentors. Okay. Virgo is in the 11th house of Virgo is in the 11th house, and the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, and we talked about all the things that are going on with that, and that is the house of friends in our social groups, clubs, and stuff that we like to be a part of. And this is the card that I pulled for you, Virgo. Is going to be the Queen of Swords, okay? The Queen of Ideas. The Queen of Ideas comes up, okay? And it's inner strength through personal suffering, masters of sidestepping emotions and speaking the truth, critical thinking. And Virgos are already critical thinkers, okay? Virgos are already critical thinkers. So you are reevaluating your friend groups, your circles, your tribes that you are a part of, Virgo. Especially with being in Aquarius, you feel the effects of the age of Aquarius, and you are ready for something new. You're ready for something new, Virgo, and you are reevaluating. But first you have to master, just like the Queen of Swords, how to sidestep those emotions, okay? Next, we got Libra. Libra is in the 12th house, which is ruled by Pisces. And like I said, Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, is also in retrograde. So we are experiencing some spirituality overhauls as well. But Libra is there, and that is the house of karma, old age, and the subconscious. So how long you will live, the karma you will experience throughout your life, the things that you think about deeply, deep down, and things that have not been awakened yet. We find those in the 12th house, ruled by those dreamy Pisces, okay? And the card I pull for you, Libra, is the Knight of Pentacles. And I always say messages about my money, okay? So no cutting corners. Being steady and trustworthy, and financial breakthrough. Because Libra, you got a lot going on, don't you? You got a new moon going on in your sign. Mars and the sun have linked up in your sign. And Mercury retrograde is also happening in your sign. So this is a perfect time for you to make changes, okay? Perfect time. But, don't go off track. Don't try to cut any corners to get to it. Stay on track. Do the right thing, and it will come to you. Okay? Next, we have Scorpio. And Scorpio is currently about 6 degrees into the first house. And we will get to degrees and stuff later on. But Ratchet Astrology is for beginners only right now, okay? And, that is the house of identity and self, obviously. And it's the first house. And it is ruled by Aries, of course. And that is, we know Aries is, the god of war and the planet of action and our passion, our anger, things that make us go, okay? Scorpio. So the house of identity and self is where you are. And this is the card that I pulled for you, the Four of Swords. 4 of Swords for Scorpio, okay? Retreat, regroup, recharge is what you need to do. And it might be a little bit hard with this Mars and Sun link up, because Mars and Sun get together, it amplifies all energy, okay? So you may be feeling extra tired, extra amped up all at the same time, but it is time to retreat, regroup, and recharge, and think about this thing over again. Remember, this Swords, it's an idea, okay? It's an idea. It's a mind thing. It's a mental thing, okay? Sagittarius, currently housed in Taurus. Not currently housed in Taurus, but the second house, which is ruled by Taurus, the house of money and possessions. And woo-woo, we pull the devil. And this card, I feel like people think about, they automatically go to the Exorcist or some type, or the Devil's Advocate, or some type of demonic possession when you look at this card. But this is just about being a slave to your darkness, okay? Being a slave to darkness, and about temptation, okay? So, Sagittarius, you might be feeling tempted when it comes to things having to do with your money, your possessions, and your resources. But in the second house, ruled by Taurus, Taurus being a very much grounded sign, you do not have to give in to those impulses to possibly take on a bad deal, take something that might not be good for you or work for you in the long run. And, get grounded about your money and your possessions, and, take a serious look at how you want to move forward in those things. Next, we got Capricorn. Capricorn is currently in the third house, ruled by Gemini, whose planet ruler Mercury is in retrograde. So are you okay, Capricorn? All right, so this is all about communication, and this is where we also house our neighbors and our siblings, okay? Almost the same thing, right? So, Capricorn, this is the card I pulled for you. It is the Star. It is the Star, Capricorn. And this is all about better times ahead, optimism, hope, and healing. And taking that energy that your sign, just with Pluto going direct, taking everything that you learn in this time to heal, and with Mercury being retrograde right now, being the ruler of communication, saying what needs to be said, Capricorn. Aquarius. Aquarius is currently in the 4th house, ruled by Cancer. And that is also where we house our home life, okay? And it's also where we keep the relationships with the women in our life, our children, and our mom, okay? And this is the card that I pull for you, Aquarius. It is the 3 of Cups. Overflow of just good emotions, a time to celebrate finding your soul tribe, because Aquarius is, it's not been talked about too much since the Grand Conjunction, but you've been in a serious overhaul this year too, right? You know what I'm saying? This is the age that we're going to. Your sign is the ruler of this age right now. So everything that you thought was setting you apart or making you feel weird, it's not weird anymore, because the whole world is weird. It's your time, okay? So it's a time to celebrate and embrace all of your weirdness, all of your quirkiness, all of the things that make you unique, all of the ideas that you felt were ahead of time or that you felt people wouldn't understand. This is your time to embrace all of that, Aquarius, and really pay attention, like just how there are 3 women in this. Remember that you're currently housed in Cancer, so pay attention to the relationships that you have with the women in your life and your mom especially, okay? Anything to deal with your mom and your maternal relationships, or the lack thereof. Maybe you are dealing with some things where you feel like you had issues with your mom, because sometimes your placements, your transits can show that everybody doesn't have all these positive placements. Sometimes it is foretold that you will have issues with certain people in your life just by the transits and the planets that are in that house at the time, okay, when you are born, okay? This all goes from back to when we were born. So, but this is a card of celebration, okay? This is a card of celebration, Aquarius, and, just celebrating with others in this time. Maybe a house party. You're in the 4th house right now. Maybe it's time for you to throw a party, Aquarius. Maybe I just want to throw a party because I'm an Aquarius, but, Pisces is currently in the 5th house, ruled by Leo. And that is the house of creativity. And for Leo, we pull a Page of Cups. Messages about our emotions, okay? Creative and gentle, sensitive, and happy news. So good news about our emotions, Pisces. And I know you like that, Pisces, with your emotional shelf. And we are back to Aries, which means we got through everybody, okay? So that concludes this edition of Ratchet Astrology. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you manifest some good into your life. And remember to set goals, write things down. Make sure that you are using your time properly, okay? If you really want to make it through retrogrades, any retrograde, but especially Mercury retrograde, communication, clear communication, and time management is key, okay? So make sure that you follow me on all social medias. I hope I was helpful in answering the questions that were left in my comment box. And please feel free to send me more. Give me things to do, okay? Because I want to know how I can help you, okay? So I am out, and I will see you guys at the full moon. Back to work I go, okay?